You ready for this? You will not stand in my way.
This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew? Oh, I do. He'll a shred. Let the battle begin.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 94 of the Nexus Trolls, a podcast all about Heroes of the Storm and part of the Trolls.gg entertainment network. Today, I am going to host you. My name is Soken, as you well know, and with me is Aramis. What's up, dude? How's it going?
Hey man, how's it going? How's everything been?
Good, just lots going on for me. Got a lot of house stuff going on, a lot of emergencies. My toilet leaked today. So
Ooh.
basically I had to get a whole new toilet.
That's rough. Exciting start to a day. I had class today. Even more exciting.
Yeah, I know how that is. I got my my master's last year, so I was in school for still quite a bit. But yeah. All right. Let's see. Thank you everyone for being here today. Quickly, I just want to go over our Patreon. So our Patreon is shared with the Nexus Trolls and all Trolls.gg content creators. You can join the Troll Army by donating as low as $1 a month, and then earn access to our show notes, as well as have priority for our after show viewer games and any call-in episodes we end up doing. At the $10 a month, you can reach the Chieftain status, and you'll get all the previous rewards, plus a special shout-out at the end of the show. And then also, lately, the last thing we added recently is an exclusive Patreon tier called the War Chiefs. There's only 5 War Chiefs allowed, and it's $20 a month, and you will get exclusive rewards, and you'll find that on our Patreon. And then right now we are at $118 of our $125 goal for the month, or a month towards the next goal. And our next Patreon, our next goal is basically a Patreon only gift card drawing. So we did a gift card drawing recently, and Super Dave, the homeboy, ended up winning. So he got that. Can Super Dave be beaten? You will find out at $125 a month. So, with that, let us jump into the news.
Someday, this will make a great story.
All right, first thing up on the news. This is more of just a little shout out for our homeboy Jhow. Just wanted to throw it out there. Jhow posted on Reddit that he recently updated his per map tier list and build list. So if you are interested in that, check out our show notes, and I will also link you to it in the chat right now. It's pretty awesome, actually. It's very, very, very detailed, and if you know Jhow, you know that he loves statistics and details. I used to watch him last year I watched him prepare for BlizzCon, and he was literally going replay by replay, checking out Breeze, how many ETC power slides he landed out of how many, like that guy goes into immense detail. So I think that this spreadsheet is pretty good. Have you had a chance to look at this yet, or is this new news for you, Armis?
It's new to me. I'm checking it out right now. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail. I mean, just literally the front page. There's so many different things you can check out. And the great thing about this kind of tier list is that it's based on maps. So it's not just like, Stitches is overpowered, choose him all the time. No, I mean every hero has its situational uses, and this will tell you that. Also along here there are some build guides for you, which is pretty awesome. And yeah,
I'd really like to see like Blizzard or somebody like retweet this or promote it out there, because like this is something that like the community needs. It's a good list. Like the list is like fairly accurate to like what the meta is right now, and everything's really neatly organized. And honestly, for a lot of new players that are looking for information of like where to start, this is a very good baseline of like where you can start and then adapt it to your own play. So I
Exactly.
like content like this, and I hope more people take this on because this is actually amazing.
Yeah, actually, so Psalm before he retired used to have a tier list just like this. But the thing is, it's actually Jay Howe's job to analyze this kind of thing all the time. So you can expect that his would be updated more often over someone like Psalm, who has priorities being a pro, had a priorities being a pro player, and also someone like, let's say Grubby or someone whose main priority is to stream, not necessarily to update their builds. So I think this
Yeah.
guy, I think Jay Howe, not this guy. I think Jay Howe, you can reliably trust that this will be updated quite often, and I've seen it updated a few times. I just never had the thought to add it to the show, so I wanted to add it in. Alrighty.
Yeah, he also has a change log up there too. If you pull up each page and scroll down, so this way you can check like when changes happened in case you're like, hey, I don't know if something did change. Well, he even lists it for you, which is really cool. You can see how the meta evolves over time. You can look in the past and kind of see where people were changed based on patches, which I think is pretty awesome. Really good doc. Alrighty.
Please keep hiring this guy, Blizzard. Please keep hiring him. He's great for the community. All right, moving on. We got the HGC opening week tickets just went on sale, taking place at the Blizzard Arena at Burbank. And if you don't know, HGC opening week basically exists because BlizzCon, there is not enough time within 2 days to go through all of the BlizzCon finals brackets. So they have an opening week now that they can conveniently host at the Blizzard Arena, and really great. That's actually amazing because before we weren't even able to do that. We just had to watch on Twitch and kind of just, this is supposed to be the biggest tournament of the year, so it was a little bit of a letdown that we couldn't even go watch. Now we can at least go to the Blizzard Arena. I went there for the Western Clash. I love the Blizzard Arena. It's freaking awesome. And they might even have some merch on sale there for your favorite teams. I bought, as you guys might remember, I bought the Team Liquid jersey when I was there. So, do you plan on going to that, Armis, or just BlizzCon?
Just BlizzCon. I have too much school. I'm actually going to be missing a few days for BlizzCon alone, and that's going to kind of take a toll on where I'm sitting, so I don't have the extra time for the free week, unfortunately.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't have time either. I ended up using like all my vacation, so I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah.
I don't have time
It's
for
also
that, but
it's also expensive coming from the East Coast. Unless I can find a friend local that I can stay with for free, it's like it'll get rough paying for a hotel each night.
yeah, right. Because it's like potentially, I don't know the exact dates. I haven't looked at those, but potentially 3 to 4, maybe more days of that, and then if that's early enough in the week, then you have to wait till BlizzCon. So that's, yeah, you're right. That's pretty expensive.
Yep. Well, we'll see. If somebody offered their house to me, maybe I'll book my plane a little earlier.
That's student life. Always
You live in
taking,
the area,
yeah.
plugging it.
Hit up-
I'll give you free coaching for it too.
Hit up Armis at GG_Armis on Twitter for free housing.
Yes. And free coaching. I'll coach you for it.
Yes. All right, moving on. There is a Crucible date set, just released. Had to have been like 1 or 2 days ago. Basically, October 6th and 7th will be the Crucibles. So the bottom 2 teams, which are not really known at this time for North America. I guess none of them are. I mean, I think Monkey Menagerie in Europe is pretty much the only decided, like the only for sure team as far as I remember. I haven't. This is just mainly meant as a reminder, so I don't know the full details. But I'm pretty sure Monkey Menagerie is the only one that is like for sure at this point. There's still a possibility, as far as I know, that No Tomorrow and LFM, they're like up in the air as to whether either of them will be in there. So, and also I think Simplicity. I think Simplicity is close to there as well. So just keep an eye out on, first of all, this weekend's HGC. That will tell us some stuff. Hence why Goon wasn't here today. because he is working hard with No Tomorrow to make sure that they can avoid Crucible if they can, which would be really nice. So there's that. All right. Moving on. So I wanted to, not as per usual for the Nexus Trolls, we don't like to go too ham on the PTR patches because you never technically know what's going to happen between PTR and the live server. So again, we're going to go general run through of all the PTR patch notes. So there's 3 main things that we're going to talk about, and all these links are in the show notes to both the builds, the build calculators on online, as well as the YouTube videos for their reworks overview videos, as well as the PTR patch notes themselves. So check that out in the show notes. So this patch was released on Monday of this week.
Are you talking about the balance patch first or the PTR one?
The PTR patch, yeah. So that's why it's in the news, because
Okay.
we don't want to go over it too crazily. We're going to go more in depth over the balance patch, which is next.
Yep.
So the first thing, obviously, there's a new event coming. They're tying these 2 reworks with an event called the Fall of King's Crest. So basically, if you're up with the lore, it's the Raven Lord sieging the generals of the Raven Lords besieging the what's it called? Oh, literally just had her name in my mind. But anyway, she's the queen of the castle and basically in Dragonshire, and they're basically in a war. So it's an event surrounding the lore, and if you don't know much about the lore, you can check out the Heroes of the Storm website, go to media, and you can watch the 2 comics that are out right now for that. And I'm sure they're actually going to line this up with a release of the 3rd comic, which would be kind of cool. And along with this event is going to be seasonal loot chests. So make sure to get those as well. And moving on to from the general stuff, we have the ranked play changes. Now, a lot of people on Reddit were really happy about these changes. Basically, Team League will now support all party sizes, including solo players. What have you read much about this, or have you thought much about this? What do you think about this change?
I have thought about it a lot. Honestly, I think it's a step in the right direction, and I'm hoping that they're just going to use it for the right things. Team League is relatively dead right now. I feel like this is good and bad. It's good in the sense that it's going to promote Team League and have solo players go there where they can play it with their friends, essentially creating that duo queue mode we've always wanted. The one bad thing about this is that they don't have any rank barriers in Team League still. So my Bronze 1 friend can queue up with my Master friend and play in Team League. Or what's going to happen now is you'll have like 4 GM players and 1 random bronze solo against 5 diamonds. And it's going to create those really weird instances that's going to go back to kind of what people were complaining about in the beginning. Matchmaking's busted. Please just balance the players. So yeah, I'm hoping that they kind of take this and use this as like a data sheet for, okay, how do we improve it? And honestly, I think the best way to take the game is have there be 1 rank mode, because the player base isn't big enough for 2 right now. The queues are too long. Like when you have 20 people in a Team League queue, those 20 people normally are really everybody like that's playing right now. Half the time when I'm playing Team League, or even when I'm playing Hero League, when I queue up, I know 8 of the 10 people in my game, regardless if I could see their names or not, because I know there's not more than 15 people queuing at a time, and you could see half your friends list go off showing who's in your games. And like that's cool and everything because it's a really small community and you know everybody. The biggest thing though is there was 1 rank mode. Just give duo queue back. Say there's no 3, 4, 5 stacks other than unranked, or have it do like 1, 2, and 5s. Like if you wanted to queue up in Hero League, you can queue up as a 5 stack versus a 5 stack, or you could do solos and duo queues. Have that be the option, and have there be like no trios or things like that. I mean, I just think that they have to consolidate it into one rank mode and say like, hey, if you're a 5 stack, you'll queue against the 5 stack in Hero League or something of that nature. It's too small to split it up. Uh, and honestly, I think it's having a negative impact over time because a lot of people, when you get these long queues, they're quitting. It's like just make it into one rank mode, just throw everything together so that we can get quick, good queues, and hopefully the rest will balance itself out. But I think it's a step in the right direction. So props to Blizzard for recognizing that we needed to have a way where like solos can play with not solo queues and play in a ranked mode to see how competitive can shape that way. But yeah, good first start.
I agree
What do
with
you
pretty
feel about
much.
it?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. It makes everything you said makes complete sense. Something I was thinking about the other day was like, okay, this is going to be so weird because what it's going to do is it's also going to kill Hero League in a way because that is where solo players queue. So now, how do solo players decide between playing in Hero League and playing in Team League? I honestly don't know. How you would decide that as a solo player, right? You're just a person. You're a new person.
Yeah.
You don't have many friends. So do I go to Team League where potentially speaking, theoretically speaking, I could stack up or I could group with a 4-man, and then they are toxic to me because I didn't live up to their expectations. Or do I go to Hero League where the consistent problems with Hero League that have not been addressed from previous patches, that players are still overly ranked and et cetera, et cetera. So, and of course, there's a lot of that also in Team League, but
Yeah, like you're completely right about that. And like that's the biggest issue is being a new player and saying, "Hey, I'm going to jump into Team League right away." And just not being able to because you're going to be a silver and queue with players that are much higher above you because the mode still may not have enough players. So that's kind of how they're going to fill out those hour queues is by saying, "Okay, let's just throw a solo in the mix and we can reduce that solo player's MMR with an increased team MMR and balance it to give you a faster queue to try and revive Team League as a mode." But again, you're going to take all those players away from Hero League, which is essentially either going to make them both moderately dead or just kill one.
yeah, exactly.
And I don't think that's a solution. Like we need one good mode where there's constant queues, where streamers and content creator can constantly put out stuff at a fast pace because you're not in a lobby waiting for 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm iffy on it. I kind of agree with you that if this is the direction they're going, I would much rather have them just consult. I mean, I'm against a duo queue personally, just throwing that out there. I do not like duo queue because of my bad experiences in the alpha, all that with how duo queue was run and everything.
Yeah.
That is not what I want to go back to. I'll just say that.
No.
So as long as we can avoid that, I'm good. But saying that, I would much rather go to a single ranked mode with singles, duos, and then like you were saying 5 stacks. I would much rather have that than
With
these two.
a rank barrier.
Yes, with the rank barrier, of course.
The key is if we give more than one player per queue, it needs to have a rank barrier. We need to make sure that diamonds are playing with diamonds. It's not my master friend is going to log on as bronze 1 Smurf so that there's a faster queue and play Morales while I Vala, and we're going to run it down mid against a bunch of average gold players that have no clue how to respond to that. Granted, it's the greatest time in the world, and I do it in quick match quite often. And
But that's
I'll
what quick
probably
match
do
is
it some
for.
more. Exactly. I don't want to have to go into ranked and do that. And I mean, granted, it's fun. I definitely have times where I'll bring my friends and I'll be like, all right, let's go play Hero League, and we're gonna Abathur, Illidan, Morales. We're all gonna log on Smurfs, or have like one of our friends play on his main, and we'll log on Smurfs to help him rank up a little bit, and just steamroll some poor kids. And I was playing with some friends the other day, and like we were just having a good time, and it was like 3 a.m. and we queued up into the same duo. It was a duo that was queuing with trios, and we queued into them like 4 times, and we're like, these poor kids. Like, we were saying like, okay, we're not going to end the game until we get like 50 kills. Like, we were having a really good time.
Oh my god.
But
Artemis is the
those-
problem. Everyone, get your
Yeah, but
pitchforks.
Yeah, but those poor kids on Towers of Doom just waiting until Sappers ended because we wouldn't let them cap the shrine and wouldn't cap it ourselves. Like,
Oh no.
I mean, that's no fun
Yeah.
for some of us.
So anyway, we'll see what this has in store for us. Now that we're leaning towards this direction, I definitely agree with you that I would much rather have a single ranked mode. So we'll see where that goes.
Yep.
All right. So now in this PTR patch, the remaining portions of this PTR patch are 3 reworks. So 1 to the map Garden of Terror, 1 to Kerrigan, and 1 to Brightwing. So let's start off with the Garden of Terror. You can also, by the way, find the videos for these reworks in the show notes if I didn't mention that already. And I hear a lot of people saying different things, but what do you think about this Battleground update so far? Have you had a chance to go into the PTR?
Yeah, I had a chance to go onto it, looked at it and everything. It's okay. I like that Garden of Terror was unique, but it was also a very like unbalanced and kind of unfun map. It was really hard for me to see with like how it got dark at night, kind of still is. They changed to be more like Tomb of the Spider Queen, where you kind of capture these seeds that are across the map. It'll spawn terrors in each of the lanes, and then they'll kind of push down like spiders do, with similar functionalities to how the old terrors work, other than that you're not operating them. Overall, it's a very similar feeling with just a slightly different take, and that's kind of the way a lot of the HOTS maps are, so it feels a lot more standard and a lot more, I guess, playable to an extent. Obviously, I still think there should be some improvements on it. I mean, there's always room to improve on each map. Like they're obviously get to tweak numbers and things like that. I mean, that's why it's on PTR right now. So I'm hoping that they just keep looking at it, and hopefully they can bring it into a point where that map can be played again or is even considered for HGC. I like that they're going back and re-looking at these maps that they know like pros and players don't like, and are taking a drastic change on it. Honestly, they decided to really flip the entire map around, and we're just like, hey, we're just gonna go for it and see what happens. And honestly, that's a good approach to it, because it was so bad before that it couldn't be salvaged where it stood. So I'm glad they're just like, we're gonna turn it around, see how this goes, and take it from there. And honestly, that's what needs to happen. Make a big change. The one thing I do want, though, and I know I've seen a couple tweets about it, a couple Reddit posts about it, leave the old map in custom games for us. Let us have our nostalgic memories once in a while.
Ooh, that's actually a great idea.
Yeah,
That is a really good idea, actually.
Yeah, this way, if anybody's like, hey, I want to play an old Garden of Terror or look at where the game's evolved, leave it on customs. Like, if you have the map created, throw it as a map for us. That'd be really nice. And honestly, it might be fun sometimes to, after show games, 5-on-5 scrims, old Garden of Terror. Who's with me?
Yes. Yeah, actually, so they kind of did something like that with Hanamura. So it used to just be called Hanamura, and now it's called Hanamura Temple. So they distinctly separated these maps into as 2 different maps. They could still do something similar, where instead of calling this a like Garden of Terror, maybe you call it I don't know. Call it something else.
Terror 2.0.
The Terror of the Garden. Yeah, I don't know, something like that. Yeah, 2.0, whatever. It doesn't really matter.
2.0 is good.
as long as you distinguish it, and then you put the old version in the custom games, that should satisfy people that complain that they don't like this new update, and as well as people that want something new in the map rotation. I definitely agree that I would love to see this in pro play. That would be awesome to see, because if you think about it right now, there's almost all the maps are quote unquote banned by the pros, meaning when the HGC pros get together at the beginning of the year, they decide, okay, we have this many maps in HGC to choose from, and we have X amount of bans to ones we don't want to play. So every single player, I think it's every single player, it might be every team, but I'm pretty sure it's like every single player will go, I don't want to play on these maps, I'm banning these maps. And then whichever maps have the most bans will be quote unquote banned from the HGC, meaning not official HGC maps. So if they could, I'm sure a lot of pros right now would ban Brax's Holdout.
Yes, 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 yes.
Not a lot of people enjoy playing that, including the pros. And if this Garden of Terror update is a good change, meaning if the pros enjoy it enough, if it's not snowball, not too snowbally and whatnot, things that they look for in map design, then this could easily be a part of the HGC, which I think would be awesome. If we saw this, well, we won't see it this year, but if we saw it in BlizzCon this year, that would be hype. I would have loved to see it in BlizzCon or something, but they wouldn't do that this year.
I mean, you know what they do at BlizzCon? They do that East versus West tournament. You know, where they do the customs.
Yeah.
Show it on Garden. Show it on Garden. There's ways to promote the map. Like, they do enough stuff where they can show it off. Especially if they're going to do good work with it. Just got to think a little creative.
Yeah, like they're gonna release new heroes. You could easily put that in the at the booths for the HOTS booths to make people play in the new Garden of Terror, because it's unlikely at this point they're gonna release a new map after releasing Hanamura Temple and Garden of Terror reworks. So I mean, it's possible, but it's possible. It's possible. I'm not taking anything off the table, but I am saying they have a lot to do between now and BlizzCon. So if it's not already close to being done, then it's probably not going to happen. And I don't remember hearing anything about it personally. So I wouldn't count on it, but you never know. So yeah. I enjoy it as well. I think this this map has a lot of potential. And the greatest thing about it is that you can easily modify the objective to not be overpowered, to be balanced, right? A lot of people were like, oh, well, what if you just essentially leave the terror as it is, and then everyone's going to all the lanes and it just like destroys a lane. It's like, well, you can tune how long the pots, what are they called, the pot plants or whatever those are that disable the structures.
Mm-hmm.
You can tune
flowers.
Huh?
I think they're just called flowers right now.
Oh, okay. You can disable. You can tune those to be less powerful. You can, and how long they last. And you can also tune the terrors themselves. I think it's great. I think it's good because there's starting to be a lot of maps as well that, just in general, there's a lot of maps and there's a lot of mechanics, a lot of things you need to know. Having some familiarity with some of the mechanics is also really nice. So anyway, I think we should move on because we're taking up a little bit of time here on that, but I do think it's going to be awesome. All right. I want you to tell me about the Kerrigan rework. I want to hear what you think about Kerrigan because I think she's going to be brutal to play against.
So, honestly, this PTR patch notes was awesome. I like the Battleground update, obviously. Kerrigan update is amazing. So, they changed a lot about her. They basically nerfed all of her abilities damage off the bat, but buffed her trait to give her a little bit more shields. They gave her a lot more like mobility, like movement, and even a little bit more tankiness because of that shield. They gave her extra ravage charges to allow for further jumps, reduced her mana cost a little bit, gave the mana refund upon killing an enemy as a baseline. Wow. They gave her E some additional damage after she pulls people, assuming she can keep that gap closed. They buffed Ultralisk quite a lot. They changed a bunch of her talents around, moved some from different tiers, and added functionalities to them. A big one that I kind of like is they moved Assimilation Mastery from level 7 to level 1. And in addition to what it already gave, it also causes regen globes to give you 40 shield per second while active. Doesn't seem like a lot, but scaling into late game, that could be a pretty big amount. What I do like about all of Kerrigan's talents, looking on the patch notes, and they're all pretty long, so I won't go over each of them, but they're all unique. They all have some type of like different functionality, and it just feels different than talents previously. I don't know why. It's just like they play off her abilities. It's not just kind of what they were doing with previous talents where it's like, okay, we're just taking this ability and saying put a little extra damage on it or it heals you now. They're saying, okay, like if this happens, get this. And it encourages different play styles and it encourages making right mechanical plays. And honestly, that's a really good way for the game to shift, especially going into competitive. Like quick examples is like level 7, every time Primal Grasp pulls or its explosion hits an enemy hero, reduce the cooldown of Ravage by 4 seconds, right? So you can reduce cooldown of Ravage by 4 seconds, then explode and reduce it by another 4 seconds. So you already have 2 charges.
Wow.
and now you can reduce that cooldown by 8 seconds, and it can constantly keep going. So it's like encouraging that good play by saying, okay, Kerrigan has all these unique little abilities, and everything you do with her based on the talents you pick can reward you for completing actions correctly, I guess you would say. And I really think that's a good way to start taking heroes, and I want to see a lot more heroes changed into similar directions because it rewards strong play.
Sorry about that
You get a
noise in the
chance
background.
to-
Hold on 1 second.
I couldn't even hear
That was a
anything.
little loud. Yeah, so I will go over quickly. I'm not going to go over all the talents and updates and everything, but I do want to go over the ability changes because these alone are PogChamp. Like the changes, the one thing just in general about all these changes to Kerrigan and to Brightwing, they did something I didn't think that they could do up to this point because of everything we've seen in the past. This is like completely new in a sense, the design here, which is they combined both the kind of the lore aspect of the hero and the talents / abilities of the hero themselves. So like the psionic boom that comes from a Kerrigan that, you know, that uses primal grasp on a hero, right? 2.5 seconds after using primal grasp, Kerrigan damages all nearby enemies for 180 damage. That is such a good way to both give some lore aspect to it, because as we all know, Kerrigan was previously a ghost, and so she has psionic powers, and so that psionic boom, right, is like such a cool thing to see when you're playing the game. So I think that is a really awesome combination of both lore and design, and we'll also see this later with the Brightwing changes. But let's go over the Ravage, the Q changes real quick. So instead of 1 charge, it's 2 charges. And to compensate for that, they reduced the range from 8 to 6. So you can't just go jumping across the map and whatnot. The mana cost reduced, obviously, because now you have 2 charges. You don't want to be going out of mana insanely quickly. The damage was also reduced with the more charges. And like you said, there was Ravage, the mana return is baseline if something dies. So you can actually kill things like on a shrine, for instance, on Infernal Shrines, etc., etc. You have some form of wave clear still, and you don't have to drain all your mana for that. There were some damage nerfs, as you said, in the primal on the Impaling Blades, and then on Primal Grasp as well. And now, like I said, the Primal Grasp damage itself doesn't come from the actual pull; it comes from the psionic explosion that comes afterwards, which is freaking awesome. And then another change that's really important here to the ultimate, Summon Ultralisk. So it's basically the same now, with the exception that on the cast of the Ultralisk, it will send the Ultralisk out in a direction. So it becomes a skill shot now, and it charges in that direction, and it hits the first enemy hero. When it hits the first enemy hero, it will stun them for 0.5 seconds. So and deal 250 damage. So now it's more than just, oh my god, an Ultralisk spawned, run away. It actually has some skill to it as well as some kind of impact, because before, I've seen Ultralisk be used well as like a split pusher, actually. I think Ultralisk can be used that way, but now you actually have teamfight potential with it. So you have the teamfight potential, and then maybe you get a pick off, you go split soak with your Ultralisk or something. That could be pretty cool. So there's that.
Favorite Kerrigan talent before we move on to Brightwing? What do you like?
Honestly, I know this is gonna seem weird probably, but the level 20 Omega Storm, I like the change to it. So the new functionality is that Maelstrom's duration is increased by 0.125 seconds every time it damages an enemy hero. So now it's not just like, oh, I pop it and it's over. It's like, if you're in a late game team fight and you're really in there for a long period of time, you can not only do a lot of damage, but then it's like a deterrent. It's almost like, it reminds me of the Genji, the Dragon Blade level 20, right? Where it extends the Dragon Blade.
Yep.
So I think that's pretty awesome as an ultimate upgrade.
Yeah. Pretty cool update.
I know it probably sounds a little boring to a lot of people. I'm just gonna throw that out there right now. But I like it. I think I always love those. Like I love Infinite Archon on Tassadar. I love
Yes, Infinite Archon's the best.
Things like that. Like I love those late game talents because you feel powerful. You feel like I'm making an impact. I'm gonna wreck you. I'm gonna jump in with the storm and just wreck you and stay there forever. I love that idea. So there's that. Now we've kind of gone over the general stuff for Kerrigan. Again, we're not going over the talents just yet because we're going to go over that when they actually come out in, I think, about a week. They'll probably come out. So we'll go over those in more depth probably in next week's patch. So be on the lookout for that. I'll remind you again later. So next up is Brightwing. So with Brightwing, they made a lot of significant changes. A lot. So overall, they increased her, what I would call increased her healing output. I mean, like big time. So the healing amount on the Soothing Mist on her trait went down just a tiny bit, but they made it an activatable cleanse at level 1. Now, it's supposed to be a pseudo cleanse, just like Tyranda's level 1 that she got in the last rework for Tyranda. But I've seen videos of it actually cleansing people. Like, they don't get unstoppable effect, but it cleanses them. And I'm thinking that that's a bug, so I wouldn't count on that being in the live patch when that comes out. But I think overall, just the fact that that exists and it's on a 120-second cooldown, so it's not like you can just throw it out all the time. I think that is such a cool adaptation to the whole Mist idea of, I'm not only gonna heal with it, but I'm gonna cleanse you of everything with that pulse, and it's a skill shot in a way because obviously you don't just throw it out whenever, you throw it out when you need to cleanse people. So that's pretty awesome. Moving on from that, the phase shift, now the cooldown has been increased, but slightly increased by 5 seconds, but it now heals the target for 20% of their maximum health. That is crazy. That is pretty crazy. I anticipate this being nerfed. I'm just gonna throw that out there. This is probably something that will be nerfed, but still, I think a good idea. Just the fact of you don't feel the need to go Z build all the time with the shields because your Z already has a heal, so that's also really great. Overall, just giving more functionality to her Q, so to her Arcane Flare, and then giving more the same to Polymorph, and Pixie Dust slight range decrease on her E. And then now Emerald Wind is slightly changed. It does not have the passive healing like before. So before, one of the reasons why I chose Emerald Mist all the time was because, or Emerald Wind, sorry, not Emerald Mist, Emerald Wind, was because it gave that extra healing, and I wanted to feel more impactful with the healing. Other than I like the sustain heal of Brightwing, and that's why I chose Brightwing, so I would get more of that sustain heal, and that would be good. But now they've reduced the cooldown a bit, reduced the damage slightly, and it does not give the heal anymore. So, and you'll see why, because level 20 gets pretty insane. So that's why they do that. Any notable talents here that you want to go over?
Oh, I like the level 1 talent, the Hyper Shift. I like those new functionalities where it restores 30% of your max health. I think that's insane with your Z. And then also every minion killed lowers the cooldown by 2 seconds. So it essentially allows Brightwing to be a lot more of an aggressive global, I guess you could say. Like, she'll be able to teleport across the map, clear a wave, teleport again. Also makes her scary viable on Tomb of the Spider Queen, potentially, because you clear so many minions so fast. Like, just have Brightwing constantly teleport into the soul lane and harass them, and then just walk back up.
Oh my gosh, you're so right.
There's gonna be a lot of like weird things you can do with her now because of how a lot of her talents sit. And yeah, I really like that. I also like her level 4 talent, Magic Spit. It increases your basic attack range by 20%, allowing you to basically almost have a similar attack range to like a Hanzo. But if you attack a hero, it reduces the cooldown of your Soothing Mist by 5 seconds. So basically, you could sit back and just constantly hit tanks and keep your team healed all day.
Yeah, Well,
Yeah.
it's the active, so it's the Soothing Mist active, so it's
Yep.
the cleanse.
On your D. Yeah, it's on your D.
Yeah.
So I mean, even then, like,
Yeah, still
even if
though.
it's not all the time, it's still team fights don't last that long. Like,
Yeah,
if you
true.
can keep them alive for your entire active, it's gonna be a big difference.
Yeah.
I'm excited though. I definitely like what they did with these heroes, where they are basically rewarding play with talents rather than just buffing abilities.
Yeah.
It's gonna feel so much more rewarding to play and win with these heroes than it did previously, and I'm really excited to have them come on the live server and really just play with them more.
Yeah, level 20 is insane, but I want to save that till next week because in case they make any changes, balance changes based on the PTR. But I want to talk about level 16. 16 is bonkers. All of these at level 16 are pretty crazy. So she gained a new version of Ice Block. Ice Block at level 13 was removed, and she gained a new version called Phase Out, which is it. You know, a lot of people were asking for on Reddit and stuff. Oh, give X hero their own themed Ice Block at least, and Blizzard was like, "Yo, we're gonna do you one better." Yeah. So this Phase Out is basically an Ice Block, but it only makes you invulnerable for 0.5 seconds. But with that, right before the Ice Block was like what 3 seconds, maybe 5. I think it's 5 seconds. Now it's a 20-second cooldown, so you can use it more often to dodge the crazy stuff that Brightwing has a lot of trouble dodging. So, like for instance, Brightwing will be just running around with like her head chopped off because let's say a Malthael's on her. You throw that last rites on the Brightwing, you're like Malthael's like I got you, and then Brightwing's like oh really, and then Phase Out for just 0.5 seconds, just enough time to let that last rites go off. Nothing happens. Phase away or something. I mean, it's like the outplays that can occur with this, especially at the pro level, are going to be so awesome to see. And we will get to see this at BlizzCon. It will be available by BlizzCon. Pretty sure. They did this stuff in preparation for BlizzCon. So I am just so excited to see what people choose. And then also you have the Q buff at level 16. Enemy heroes hit at the center of Arcane Flare, so the Q, are silenced for 1 second and deal 25% less damage for 3 seconds. Holy crap. That is so impactful. So it's almost like, what kind of level 16, well, you know, at 16 you kind of decide what kind of utility do I want to bring more to the team? Do I want to bring sustained survivability for myself? Do I want to have a wombo combo kind of feel for myself with the Q? There's so many options at level 16 that, oh my gosh. It's just like Tyrande. I feel like at every level there is something you can choose and it's not a bad choice. There is no bad choices that I see in this entire tree. So I am just really excited to see how this comes out. I think she's going to be really powerful. Like, I said this about Tyrande, and I was right. She was close to 60% win rate by the time she was nerfed on Hot Slogs. I mean, what that's worth. She was close to 60% win rate, and I foresee Brightwing being very similar. So, anything else you want to say about Brightwing?
I'm excited. She's awesome. I hope they just do what they're doing with these two heroes with all the other ones, honestly. It's going to really enhance pro play. It's going to make the game a lot more entertaining to watch, honestly. So, awesome job with Brightwing. I can't wait for it to come out. All those Brightwing mains out there, congratulations to you. You're probably going to have the best time of your life for a while.
Oh,
and
man.
I'm going to play Brightwing, and I don't play that much Brightwing.
Actually, I still love Brightwing even now. I think she has her weaknesses, but I still love the zing around the map. The globals are always a lot of fun. So I'm definitely also going to play her, and she's going to provide a lot of insane plays. So be on the lookout for that. There's also a lot of bug fixes and whatnot on the PTR, so there is that. So with that said, we are done with the PTR patch.
Now time to get on the better patch, because this one buffed Chromie.
Yes, I knew you
My
were gonna. I
favorite.
knew you were gonna say that. All right, we're going into Troll in the Nexus.
We're gonna have a good time.
Troll people.
All right, give me 1 second here. I messed up something. Hold on. There we go. All right, balance patch. Let's open this baby up. Go through it. We are going to take... I know we actually took a lot more time on that PTR patch than I was anticipating, but I don't care. I love the PTR patch, so I'm totally okay with that.
Great. Yeah, we can go through this one pretty quick and then go on to Hero League real quick and call it a night. So
the good thing is a lot of these aren't massive changes, I feel, with the exception of Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah.
Or am I...
No, you're thinking of the wrong patch. You're looking at the older patch for
what the heck?
Kel'Thuzad. I'll give you the link 1 second.
Oh, what the... I chose the wrong one. My bad. I have it right here. I got it. Never mind. Sorry about that. It was wrong in the notes. I must have not updated it. I'll update it later. Anyway. All right. So obviously Chromie has been underperforming. We kind of talked about this before. How she went from kind of, at least initially, went from more of a burst hero to a more sustained damage hero, and unfortunately it wasn't really working out for her. She is supposed to be a burst hero, but I think they're doing things now, they're buffs related to Chromie that are not necessarily related to bursting, but more just other damage that comes out. So she has a little more burst from the last balance patch that gave her more damage in her base abilities. Now she's getting more damage from other things. So if you want to talk about that, go ahead.
Yeah, so they increased her health and health regen a little bit, made her slightly more tanky, not much because it's still Chromie at the end of the day. So I don't think those changes are going to have too much of an impact because most Chromies play really safe anyway. They reduced her Dragon's Breath cooldown by a second, which is pretty big, and increased her Bronze Talons basic attack damage from 125 to 140%. Basically just giving her a little bit of extra damage on those autos, making them feel a little bit more impactful because you do have to step up a little farther to hit them now since her initial rework. They buffed a little bit of her talents, specifically her level 1. They increased her echo damage by 10%, which is basically the little shade of herself that she leaves behind that casts Q. And for her W, they increased the quest stack from 3 to 5. For each time you hit it, you'll get 5 damage instead of 3. And then they decreased the amount of hits required from 20 to 12, which basically means it wasn't buffed. It's the same. It's just able to be finished faster.
Yes.
So I don't really like that at all because it didn't really help her at all. I think mounting stand is probably the go-to. Level 5, for Mobius Loop or W, they increased the cooldown reduction for each hero hit, which is pretty nice, and they also doubled the mana refund, which is huge. So it makes that talent a lot more viable, and it also gives Chromie a little way to wave clear. If you can catch like a tank inside of a minion wave and just take that talent and constantly clear waves, Chromie might be able to be a viable mage for wave clear. But again, it's going to be a lot harder in competitive play because like higher level players and coordinated teams are going to be able to play around that. But as far as Hero League goes, where Chromie was poggers previously, it'll be a little bit more poggers again.
Yes, more poggers.
More poggers.
And if I'm not mistaken, you kind of were the W build Chromie before.
I was not. I was always all Q build all the way through.
Were you? I could have sworn maybe you... It was just that one time we played, I was playing Chromie, and you were telling me to go all W to clear the wave faster and whatnot, but...
Yeah, it might have been just a specific comp we played at the time. But yeah, I was always all Q Chromie because I liked sitting with like over 200 stacks a game because I got so used to doing it that it became quite disgusting.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I saw Chris, not Liquid Chris, sorry. Roll20's Chris, previously Zealot's Chris, playing the new Chromie on this morning's stream on his this morning in America's stream, and I think he was going with the Q at level 1 as well. He was definitely going more of a Q build. He was not going W build, but yeah, it's still up in the air. It's nice that they're buffing some of the the talents or changing them at minimum. 50 to 100 is pretty significant. I mean, hitting a hero from getting back 100 mana is like that's pretty significant if you can hit a W.
Yeah, I think that's the full mana cost. So
Oh.
that's nuts in itself, honestly.
All right. Next up, we got Falstad. Falstad got a
all
lot
you.
of buffs on his in his mana sustain in the mana sustain area. They also nerfed his Z, so his flight to line up with the future Brightwing change that we just talked about from the PTR. So his cooldown was increased from 55 to 60 seconds on his Z. Mana cost on Q reduced 70 to 60. Mana cost on W reduced 70 to 60. With the cooldown also reduced from 15 to 13. Barrel roll cooldown reduced 14 to 13 seconds. And mana cost reduced 75 to 70. I don't know. I personally thought Falstad was already okay, but I did feel like he went out of mana a little quickly, so I do like that they noticed that. Personally, shows that they're actually paying attention to that is good in my mind. So I like these buffs, although I am kind of worried he will be kind of I don't want to say overpowered, but pretty strong with these changes. But maybe the idea is you don't have to back as often. You can push more, and then to make up for that, you have more of a cooldown on your flight. So I think it's good. It'll be interesting. I think that's also obviously BlizzCon prep in terms of making sure he's viable for BlizzCon as well, which will be nice. Any thoughts on Falstad?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think he's a lot more powerful now. I like where he's going. I think the buffs were kind of needed, like just reducing his mana cost. It just helps him be a little bit more sustaining in lane, especially when sometimes in Hero League you'll see a lot of Q build. And those Falstads are always like, oh, I'm during a fight and couldn't gust. Like, I feel like that'll happen less. So
It's so true,
kudos
though.
to that.
It's so true when you get the airy gusts and like the traits at level 13 and 16. If you're going mage build, for sure you run out of mana all the time.
Yeah, you fight once, you have to back. Fight once, back. Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely a good place to take him.
I like this a lot. I like Magestad. I think yeah, that also makes sense to me now. So yeah, they're trying to make Magestad more viable other than auto attack Falstad, which is already viable and seen decent amount in the HGC. So next up is Phoenix. Cooldown of the Purification Salvo increased from 75 to 90. So I personally feel like this nerf is a response to Mephisto, which we will see later, but also a very clear for anyone that plays this game, right? A very clear synergy between Mephisto's Consumed Souls and Purification Salvo. I mean, 75 seconds is not really that long. Personally, in a way, I feel like this is good for the synergy because the cooldowns line up a lot quicker or a lot better with Phoenix and Mephisto in that way. That especially with after level 13 with Mephisto, you get the heroic cooldown reduction. So you'll be at about 90, 100, 110 seconds. Line up with Phoenix, so in that way it's better. But clearly, Salvo needed to be nerfed. It's just a very powerful ult.
Yep.
And used in pro play all the time. People choose Phoenix for that synergy with the slows and whatnot all the time.
Yeah, that's why Thrall made a big comeback for a while. It was just Earthquake and Purification Salvo. Run it down.
Yep. Makes sense. All right, this next one doesn't make as much sense to me, but I am happy about it. So the Genji got nerfed with his Swift Strike. So his E got damage reduced at level 0 from 205 to 190. So I don't know. It's crazy. So I've been watching a lot of streams, and I've seen still Genji be chosen, and I've still seen Genji just own people. So I don't think this is going to... I honestly, I've seen it happen today. Like, Genji's still own people. A good Genji is still going to kill you in the off lane. But if this means that I'll see less Genji, then I'm totally happy with it. Because I'm over that hero.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I don't really like that they're nerfing him too much. Like, they're taking him completely out of lower level play. Like right now he's sitting at a 46% win rate in Hero League overall. Like, he's clearly underperforming. And granted, he does have a high skill cap, so that's kind of expected. But constantly nerfing him is gonna essentially like take him out. I think they need to go and buff something. If you want to make Genji higher skill cap, take away more of his E damage, like most of it, and make E primarily a gap closer, and put all of the damage into his Q if you want to do that, and make like that Shingon build be the way to go. So it's like, okay, if you can't land your E's, you're just gonna say, I'm gonna go in. If I hit all my Qs, you get a huge bonus with Genji, and if you miss them, you don't. Again, reward better play, but don't completely take him out of like top play for players that are trying to do well with him or doing well and saying, oh, he's just getting nerfed to the ground, you know?
So I think this is just a precursor. My personal opinion is that this is a precursor to doing a lot of stuff like they had done with Kerrigan, right? A lot of conditionals.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a Genji rework and a Tracer rework, 110%. Those two have caused the devs so many headaches over the past. They thought they could get away with that design, that high mobility design, but it ended up being way too powerful in the long run, especially at the highest level. So they just got nerfed and nerfed and nerfed. And like you're saying, now it's at the point where it's like, if you literally nerf Genji or Tracer anymore, they will just be meat bags that just die and not even a viable hero at all. So I think that in the future there will be in the near future, maybe not this year, but like maybe early next year, there will be reworks of these heroes coming out at some point that add conditionals. If you hit a Swift Strike, this happens. Like if you hit think about it. If you hit a Swift Strike, your next Qs are empowered or something like that. Like stuff like that, right? Those are cool.
Exactly. Or like for Shingun, you have 3 charges. If you hit all 3 charges, so all 9 like shurikens, you do an additional like 500 damage. The chances of you hitting all of those is so small. So like you should be rewarded if you did something crazy like that, you know?
Yeah.
And like I've done it before, and like again, that'll make him like counterable to certain tanks. Like you go and you play against the Diablo, oh, pick Genji. And typically right now you look at Genji as like, oh, he doesn't counter Diablo. But if you give him that burst because Diablo is just a big body, now you're kind of like changing the way things flow. And that's kind of how I'd like to see draft play, rather than it's just like this hero beats this one and this one beats this one. And you just take these straightforward talents and it doesn't really ever change.
Yeah. And I think to Blizzard's credit, based on these reworks, they're learning that over time. I mean, it's taken them a long time. It's taken them forever to figure this out, but they're finally realizing we need more incentive for people to land these abilities instead of just being able to press them and have good things happen. So it's a step in the right direction. Maybe not this nerf step in the right direction, but I'll take it personally. I'm okay with it. I hate Genji, so a lot of Genji lovers out there though that will feel bad. All right.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Mephisto. Mephisto,
big nerf.
Lots of nerfs all around the board, with the exception of the Endurance of Hate buff. So let me just go over some of these real quick. On the basic abilities, we have the Lightning Nova. The damage was reduced from 48 to 45. The bit damage bonus reduced from 4% to 3%. And because of that, the maximum bonus damage reduced from 40 to 30. So basically every tick you would get that bonus damage percentage, right? Every tick of Lightning Nova that you stayed on someone. So that's what that is. Consume Souls. So they feel like, oh wow, okay. Consume Souls, they felt like, oh, the damage is in a good spot, but the slow is a little insane. Again, this is what I talked about with the Purification Salvo. That synergy still exists, but now at least the slow on this is not 40% for just pressing the R button, which is really nice. So the slow is reduced from 40 to 25. And then I don't know what I think about this yet. I want to get your opinion, but Consume Souls will go on a full cooldown if interrupted by any source, including friendly. And then last, Endurance of Hate. Obviously, we talked on previous podcasts about how this has potential, but at the same time is just lacking design-wise. And I feel like what they did is perfect and makes up for it a lot. So they increased the missile speed by 25%, increased the range on it by 25%, increased the root duration to 2.5 from 2, and increased the damage over its duration. So now it actually seemingly has an impact.
Yeah, Consume Souls still OP.
Consume Souls is still amazing. Like I don't know why anyone wouldn't want a global reveal with a global slow and a global damage for just pressing a button. Now, given that,
Yesterday, I was playing a game where somebody took Ana and the other person took Mephisto, and they would literally just walk
oh
up,
my God.
chunk you to half, nano boost, consume souls, boom, you're dead.
Oh
It's 1,000 damage.
no.
It's 1,000 damage for you sitting in your base and clicking R.
Oh no. That's a shame. That's oh no.
Yeah, like I don't know why that interaction wasn't thought through, but like if you're playing any squishy hero, you can't get below half health against the Mephisto.
Oh no.
Because if they have an Ana Mephisto combo, anything below half, you lose. You just die. I was playing Vala, and I can't tell you how many times more than 50% of my HP was lost to something that I can't avoid, that I can't counter. I was like, I saw the animation, and I'm like, unlucky.
Yep. And that my very first game of Mephisto in quick match that I played when was it? Close to a week ago, something along those lines. I don't remember anymore. My first game, as soon as we hit level 10, we took a team fight. I got 3 kills with Consume Souls. We just backed off after a team fight, pressed the R button, and then everyone dies. And then I just pinged myself like mad, like, "Hey guys, I pressed R." Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's never gonna stop being amazing. But what do you think about going on full? What do you think about going on full cooldown if interrupted by any source?
I think that's good. They need to do something to it. Like it's way too busted right now. I am completely okay with putting on a full cooldown. Yes, it's a lot, but if you're gonna cast a literally game-changing ability, you should have to position yourself far enough back that it's worth casting. I saw a lot of Mephistos would go in with their lightning, and then literally just teleport, lightning nova, and then ult while that nova was casting because the auto attacks really didn't do much. They would let lightning nova do however much damage it did by just being there while they channeled, and then it would teleport them back right as the channel finished and just blow people up. And it's like, and when my Hero League teammates like go in and waste their stuns on the tank right away so that nobody's stunning Mephisto, it's like,
Yep.
okay, this is great. I'm just watching Mephisto literally troll my team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, I think that's good. Just saying, okay, it got canceled, reset it. Like you messed up. You can't just win the game now. Sorry.
Yeah, I heard some. I saw some pros. I read some pros tweet that they were not happy about this change specifically. I have to disagree. Sorry. I mean, the pros. They sometimes they have their eyes on these things because they want it to make an impact, and it needs to make an impact to make pro play.
Make it a shorter cooldown then. Make it say, okay, if you miss it, put it on a 60-second cooldown because again, 120 is the longest ult cooldown in the game, so it's a lot. Maybe do it 60 or 90 so it's in line with the rest of your team's ultimates for the next fight, you know? I think it should get a full duration ultimate cooldown, but keep it in line with other abilities maybe. Like maybe say, okay, like the average of ultimate cooldowns like 75 seconds, make it that if it's canceled only. So that at least the next team fight that is forced, you have the ability to try again rather than saying I need to wait a complete extra minute before the ability that didn't get cast can be casted again.
2 minutes. 2 minutes, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, an extra minute off of when everybody else gets their ults back up, essentially.
Yeah.
Like everybody have their ults up, and you got to be like, oh, 1 more minute, mine's still down. So maybe put it at like 60 or 75 seconds instead of 120. But for right now, the way Mephisto was, where he was really broken, throw it at 120 and tweak it down from there. Don't leave the OP heroes in the game to do that. At least now there's some counterplay to him, and then if they notice that he's really bad as a result, throw a quick fix, like a hot fix in, and just make it 60 seconds. Call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I would like to see some kind of cooldown reduction on it, but at the same time,
it needs to be a lot.
But
very impactful.
At the same time, he has the level 13 that reduces his heroic cooldown. His trait reduces his heroic cooldown as well. So
Assuming you take that too.
Yeah, true. This could put that at the forefront of that tier now, if because of this change. That way you
Yeah.
still can get it back relatively quick. I'm not sure, but
We'll see.
we'll see. I'm okay with it personally, but I'm sure there's other tweaks that can be done, like you're saying. All right, let's look at the talents. So level 1, Unyielding Power, which is the Q stacking quest. So the damage bonus upon hitting 20 heroes was increased from 60 to 100. And I I like that because sometimes it's easy to stack it, but sometimes it's not. And you need some kind of... It's a 40 hero quest, right? Like at the end of the day. And you want that 20 reward out of the 40 to have a bigger impact right away, or else it may never see play at all, let alone pro play. So I think that's a good one.
Yeah. I definitely like all the changes they did to him. Honestly, like I like the level 4, the static barrier. I think that needed to be nerfed too. The 50 to 40% of Lightning Nova's damage just being put into a shield. There were so many times where Mephisto would like go in just as deep as he wanted to, and assuming there wasn't like a direct counter to him, like a Stitches or a tank that would stun burst him out, like a ETC Tehran, things like that, he would just destroy people because he had almost infinite health. Like I felt so tanky as Mephisto. Even as a squishy assassin, I had no problem just clicking E and diving as deep as I wanted to in there, knowing that I was going to get a big shield as long as I hit my skill shot. And like, I was confident enough to hit it, so it always worked out.
Yeah. So just to go over all the other changes real quick, the Anger at level 1 passive cooldown from basic passive, which is the basic cooldown, basic ability cooldowns from basic attacks increased from 0.75 to 1 second. Level 4 static barrier, like you're saying, decreased from 50% to 40% of the damage dealt from the shield amount. Level 16, the lightning reaction, the damage reduced from 144 to 138. They must have seen that guy's video on Reddit where like I was talking about last week or last time, where he lined it up perfectly with the Arthas bot and it just destroyed him. So I kind of like that they nerfed it a little bit just in case. And then static field, this is where the huge surge in shields comes in, like you were talking about. So the damage,
Yep.
it's the giant killer basically of static shield at level 16. And if you got a full duration of W on someone, you literally came back with 50% shields. Like you're saying. I did that before in my game too. I mean, the very first time I played him, I did that. It's actually nuts, and that's where that huge shield comes in. And then Shade Lord E, the E talent at level 20, the cooldown reduced from 60 to 40, so that's for doing the swap with your Shade. And I think that's good because that was in my eyes one of the weaker talents, but now I think it's pretty much lined up. So they made all these changes based on stats, I think, and that's really good. I like all these changes, and I think you said you did too, so that's good.
Yep.
Let's move on to Nova. She had some adjustments here. We're not going to talk about them too much. Advanced cloaking, movement speed from 5 to 10%. Perfect shot, that's at level 1. At level 7, perfect shot, cooldown from heroes increased from 3 to 4 seconds. Level 16, explosive shot, buffed from 70 to 80% area effect damage. Those are just statistics changes for what's called? It's talent diversity. Raynor, his basic attack damage reduced from 103 to 101 at level 0. I don't know that I want to see Raynor nerfed anymore. I mean, this is kind of a relatively small nerf, but at the same time, please stop nerfing him. You just made him good. You just made him pickable.
Give Soaking his Jimmy back.
Stop. Just stop it, man. All right, so there's that, and then Sergeant Hammer. These nerfs right here were intended specifically for pro play, where Hammer is seeing a lot of play right now for cheese comps. The basic ability Neosteel Plating is her E. The cooldown was increased from 12 to 16 seconds, so you can't use it as much. And then also to line up with the level 4 Siege Tactics, where Siege Mode now would give you the Unstoppable effect, so you basically self-cleanse yourself. And now with that Siege Tactics, the shifting out of Siege Mode now removes the Unstoppable effect, where before you would siege up, they would try to hook you or Muradin stun you, you would press E, and then you'd unsiege and run away, and you'd be unstoppable for that whole duration. Whereas now, if you do that, you're not going to be unstoppable when you unsiege, which is really, really good. I didn't think it worked like that. Like when this first happened, when Sergeant Hammer's thing was when Sergeant Hammer was first reworked, I didn't think it worked like that, and then I found out it did, and I was like, man, that is busted. Just getting a unstoppable for like that long, just in general, is pretty OP. But now you can at least force her to use it, force her to run away, and then potentially if you have someone like a Zeratul who had like a Vorpal Blade on her, you can still catch up to her. Even, and then maybe like VP, like Void Prison her and wait for your teammates or something along those lines. So now there's more counterplay, less just blatant use of unstoppable. How do you think this will affect pro play? Like, do you foresee this killing Hammer in pro play, or do you think she still has room for
I don't think
use
it'll
there?
kill her. I think people have played her enough to see that like there's a lot of things you can do. I especially like the use of her the soul lane in some games. I think doing that and people noticing that and kind of trying to shift that soul lane meta still leaves her with a place in the game. I just think it's going to be more niche now. I don't think you're not going to see her as much, but she'll still be there. She was always there in the Korean meta since the very beginning. There was never a point where she was out. Like, she has her spot. There's so many heroes that do, and people will find out that soon enough.
Yep, I agree. All right, Deckard got some nerfs as well. Potion of Shielding on level 4. Shield reduced from 135 to 122. Ancient Blessings, cooldown increased from 30 to 60. Almost everyone still says that Ancient Blessings is still the pick, and I agree. And Potion of Shielding still the pick. So I don't foresee anything changing, really, but I do think they needed to change something because he's definitely top tier right now and should be brought in line. And then moving on. Oh man, actually these are these are the support nerfs right here. So Deckard, now we're gonna go on to Tyrande. Tyrande got mana cost nerfs, heal amount nerfs. The top tier choices were all nerfs. So Lunar Blaze at level 4, True Shot Aura level 4, Elun's Chosen level 7, Quickening Blessing at level 13, and Darnassian Archery at level 16. All of those got nerfed. You can check them out in the notes. But other than that, not too much going on there, but more of a talent diversity thing. Whitemane, her heal was lowered slightly, and her Searing Lash cooldown was increased slightly, but her Searing Lash talents at level 1 and 4 were buffed. So that's good. So that gives her more talent diversity as well. Because it used to be the Q build was the thing, and then they nerfed the Q build. Now W build is the thing, and now that E is buffed, maybe E build can be the thing. We'll see.
Whitemane just needs a series of more nerfs. She is so overpowered right now. She's top tier support easily. She's so tanky. It's just so hard to force a fight onto her and kill her. Like it completely changes draft styles based solely around her.
Dude, it was insane since moment 1. As soon as I saw Scarlet Aegis on the video, I was like, okay, this has to be on like a 2-minute cooldown or something. Like you can't just throw down an AoE heal armor whatever, basically like dropping Malfurion Qs on people AoE. You can't just do that, right? Every 60 seconds. Turns out yeah, you can. And it's pretty busted. And then at level 20, it's an AoE cleanse for your whole group. So it's pretty nasty.
Yeah, so I'm glad they're taking some nerfs on her. I mean, the sad part about it is that they're just in line with all the other nerfs, so it's really nothing unique that's like taking her down the tier list anymore. So I really hope that she gets hit with a little bit more.
Yeah,
personally.
Same. I still think that she is going to be pretty powerful no matter what.
Yep.
All right, moving on. We got some warrior buffs. Woohoo! We got Anubrak, his hardened carapace, his W, so his shield. The cooldown reduced from 7 to 6 seconds. That's awesome, especially with his spell armor there. That means you get more spell armor, more survivability. Really nice. Arthas, his maximum HP increased, as well as the cooldown on his trait is also decreased. Guys, I have to throw this out there, all right? I love Arthas. Blizzard, please listen. If you're listening to this, please listen to me. First of all, make the trait deactivatable. For the love of God. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to walk up to someone as Arthas and I'm like, oh, I'm going to hit him with my trait. And I activate the trait. And then it turns out like they jumped away or whatever. So like a Genji or whatever. And then I can't unselect the trait. It's just there until I hit something. And then when I hit something, it's on a 12-second cooldown. Now 10-second cooldown. That sucks. Like, why can't you just unselect it? I've never understood that. Why that's like that. And I saw it even happen on Bam Bam's stream today. He did the same thing, and he's like, well, I got to hit something, or else it's just going to stay activated. Congrats to Bam Bam, by the way, for 4K subs last night. That was pretty insane. And yeah, so the Frostmourne Hungers, the trait decreased from 12 to 10 seconds. Really nice buff. Also, another thing, quality of life. Hello. Why does he have to stop movement every single time he presses the Q button? Like, using the death coil should not cause him to stop movement. That doesn't make any sense. I've been whining about this forever because I want to play Arthas. I love Arthas, but it just sucks when that happens. It's like, I'm running away. I got to heal myself. Hold on, let me stop for a second. It's like, it doesn't feel good when that happens. It doesn't feel
clunky.
Good.
He's a very clunky hero right now.
Yes, I agree. All right, now moving on to some more I'm going to go over the more boring changes first, actually. So, ETC got a health buff. Tyrael, health buff. Also, his shields, mana got, his W, his shields got reduced, and his cooldowns got reduced, and his mana cost got reduced, and his HP buffed. So, that's really good. Yrel got her mana on all of her skills increased. Don't think it'll affect her too much, but I have seen some Yrels go out of mana recently, so that's kind of nice to actually have that in there is nice. Yes. Instead of infinite mana. And and then let's go over the most interesting one. So Blaze, they basically made a lot of changes here that revolve around making him a main tank in my eyes, as opposed to an off lane.
You think?
I think so, yeah. So let's go over these just the ability basic changes first before we go over the talents, and then we'll talk about it. So the maximum health increased from 2775 to 2900, and then the health regen increase. The mana costs for his Q and his W went up, as well as bunker But the cooldown of his jet propulsion, so his E, which is his engage, and also his disengage, is reduced from 12 to 10 seconds. On top of that, bunker got a cooldown increase, got a mana cost increase, got a and then the flamethrower damage from the bunker got decreased, and then combustion got a buff with his damage, and its slow decrease amount got decreased, which sounds weird, but he slows down less when he's using combustion. So what this tells me is that, well, first of all, he was one of the lowest off lanes, let alone tanks, with the lowest win rate in the game. So he needed something to happen to him to buff him, but clearly they were thinking, well, if we buff his wave clear, we buff his mana sustain, he's just going to be broken. So we can't do that. But what's the next best thing? Well, we can make him more tanky, but decrease some of his sustain, and that way he's better with the 4-man. He doesn't need to be in the solo, going against a Yrel, using oil spills everywhere, wasting all that mana. Instead, use the charge, use the oil spills that can help secure you a kill in the 4-man. And I have seen a lot of this on people's Hero League games on streams, including GM level games, and it's working out pretty well. It's kind of crazy. I never thought I'd say that. I never saw Blaze as a main tank, but these changes to the basic stuff, along with the talents we'll discuss in a second, kind of give me hope that he'll be a main tank. We'll see him as a main tank at BlizzCon. That could be kind of cool. What do you think they were on the right track with these Blaze changes, or do you think that it solved any of the issues that he was having?
I mean, I don't think he was really having like issues per se. I mean, yes, in lower level play, he is kind of a harder hero to play, so that's where people are saying, "Hey, I'm having some trouble." Um, I think it's really good for the solo lane because, like a lot of people said, the solo lane is just getting really boring to watch now that it's evolved to just like Urel, Blaze, Dahaka. The chances of somebody getting a pickup there is so slim because these heroes are all really beefy and really good at running away. Um, so I like the changes. I like the fact that they're like, hey, we're just gonna beef him up, reduce his mana costs, and just allow for more play style in the solo lane to say, okay, you can't just spam abilities, and clear waves and then just wait for the next one like previous. You have to say, okay, if I want to step up, I need to use more auto attacks or approach the lane in a different way. So I really enjoy that. I think the changes overall are solid. I also like the changes again to like Gurel, just reducing her mana costs. They kind of just did that across the board. I even think that some of the changes, like the ones to ETC, are also going to be beneficial for him in the solo lane. Just increasing his health and letting him be on par with like heroes like Blaze, because he'll simply be able to say, okay, we're going to go in and we're going to go stage dive ETC in the solo. So
Yeah,
yeah,
good
I'm
point.
excited for it. I'm excited for it. I think it's a good change of pace for each of the tanks. Like I said, they're all pretty baseline changes. They're buffing tank health, nerfing support healing. Assassins kind of stay in the middle. So I think that's also going to be a very good synergistic change to say, okay, supports don't have to put as much healing on tanks. They could focus it on assassins, but it's less now. Um, so I think it's going to shift the meta in a lot of different ways, and I'm pumped to see where that goes.
Yeah, I like I agree that it will make ETC more viable in the off lane, also just as a main tank because he was just getting destroyed before. So I think it brings him
Yeah,
back just a tiny bit, which I like that I thought about him. I think at some point he will get a rework, I think, but I think for now he's good enough. And yeah, that's pretty much it for all of these changes. A lot of buffs, a lot of nerfs, just overall a lot of changes. I think Nova's changes will have the least impact, to be honest, because I mean they're nice, but they're not like things that people were choosing anyway. It doesn't change how they're used or whatever in my eyes. I think one of the biggest changes of this whole patch. Let's see. Other than Sergeant Hammer, we're not going to go there because Sergeant Hammer clearly needed some kind of change, but I'm going to say that fall stats changes are like low key sleeper good, like sleeper so good. Who do you think? Who do you think has like the best sleeper changes here?
best sleeper changes.
Like things that people would look at initially and may not think that are going to
The
be impactful.
Falstead, definitely the Falstead mana changes. That has to be the biggest change in these patch notes.
Yeah, I would agree.
If we're talking, yeah, I think that like the Chromie ones are smaller. I don't think they're going to be that big. I think it's really the Falstead changes are huge. Beyond the Falstead changes, big sleeper ones are going to be those Urel mana talents or mana costs. I think that's going to have a bigger impact than people realize it will, which is probably for the best. So we'll
Yeah.
see more as she gets played more.
Yep. And that ends the balance patch from yesterday. So, unfortunately, we don't have enough time to fully go through this, but there was a design AMA on Reddit that actually had a lot of good information there. And we don't have time. We just don't have time to go over it. I would love to go into it more. There's some things. There are some things there. You know, I'm gonna bring it up. Give me 1 second here. I'm just gonna go quickly over all of it. I don't have time. We don't have time to really talk about it too much. But I want to bring it up here. Okay. The recap. Here we go. So, let's see. What are some things here? The matchmaking, they're making some changes to dynamic matchmaking so that if there's less people in the queue, it will give you more rainbow games at off-peak hours. That way you're not sitting there forever. That's kind of something we talked about a little bit earlier. A lot of people have had their MMR diverge drastically from their actual rank, and this is in Masters because of the PRA stuff. So they're looking into that. They feel like that's the most pressing issue. The devs want to add more quirky heroes, so unique heroes like Abathur, Cho'Gall, Murky, but don't want to make sure that they're both fun and balanced, because obviously you've had issues with them in the past. Let's see here. Design philosophies for support heroes has shifted towards increasing emphasis on interactive and skill-based gameplay, which makes sense based on all the changes we've seen. So you can make those clutch plays like Lornados and Tyrande stuns, heals, cleanses, blah, blah, blah. So they are going to rework the hero roles. We already knew this. They spoiled that for us with some of their clothing that they released to the Blizzard website, the Blizzard store. And it even says here, the devs would like Blaze to be in the role of a main tank. So that actually confirms what we had talked about. They're okay with switching heroes' roles if they don't make sense. So, for instance, Tassadar, Tassadar and Tyrande are both in the weird situation where they're both assassins, but they're also both supports. And so Blizzard was like, okay, we're just going to make Tyrande a support, but also give her utility. And I think they're going to do that the opposite to Tassadar. They're going to say, we're going to make him a full assassin with some utility. And I like that. I want to see that. I want to see Tassadar become an assassin. I think that would be amazing. There's a lot of hero-specific things going on in the talents part of the overview, and I will link this in the show notes. And they do agree that there's issues in the off lane, things that we had talked about. You mentioned before, right? The off lane, watching that in pro play is getting a little boring. They are looking to make sure it goes back to a more enjoyable offensive kind of meta in the off lane, instead of like a tanky no one dies, just clear the wave meta. And the one last thing I saw that I thought was super interesting, and I don't see it here. Let me just do a quick Control F. Yeah, I don't see it here. So at some point they mentioned that Varian, I think I read this in a recap, a different recap, but basically Varian's multi-class role is going to be gone. They're not going to do that anymore. So the question is, what is it going to be?
Ooh. I think he'll be a warrior. I think they're going to list him as a warrior because he'll kind of take on a role like Sonya, I think, where you have the ability to kind of be kind of tanky, but you're also kind of bursty. I think that saying he's a warrior, or if they do what they said they might do previously and list people as bruisers or like tanks, he would be a bruiser.
Yep.
I think even as Twin Blades, I think that's still more on the lines of he is a bruiser.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that, and we even saw that in an HGC game. I forget which one, but it was pretty recently.
The Heroes Hearts games they played a lot of.
There you go.
Yep.
And I would also like to see a slight rework of Variant's Twin Blades. I think that it could be more interactive instead of just like, haha, you're another Sonya. Congrats. Like, what? Anyway, they'll figure that out. Quickly, I want to go into the Hero League report, so hold on one second.
Get good or get wrecked.
All right, so I am going to quickly go over my Hero League report. I played 7 games on Tuesday. I was going to play 6, and I was 3-3 at my 6 games. So I was like pumping myself up. I was like, oh, okay, just go, just hit the go button, and I did, and I regretted it, and now I'm 3-4. So
aww.
The one thing I learned is that I am a very good macro player. I can make up a lot for a lot of my team's feeding. I had all my 3 wins were on Dahaka because my team would feed and I would just go to all the other lanes and soak all the lanes. So that's all I can do, right? I mean, I can only look out for myself and what I can do well. And I saw my team was not doing well. I figured I'll pick up the soak. I have a global. And I just did that, and I ended up playing it so well that I carried those games. Like, one game I had 21k soak, Another game I had 18k soak. It was just insane compared to how much soak my teammates had compared to me. I was basically double anyone on my team soak for all those games.
Sounds about right for normal Hero League game.
Sounds about right. Yep.
And that's unfortunate, but yeah, that unlucky sounds about right.
Yep.
I've had far too many games like that where your teammates kind of just fight mid for about the first 3 minutes, will eventually stop fighting mid, take camps, ignoring the side lanes that entire time, finally get back into lane and fight, get chunked back, miss a couple more waves, and repeat. And yeah, that's basically how most Hero League games go, which is unfortunate, but I think it's been getting better. Honestly, I feel like some of my games have been getting more high quality over time. I think from where I started at in HOTS compared to now, I feel like a lot of players, not all players, but a lot of them have some general knowledge of the game now and are able to more actively participate and not be as lost when you're like, hey, take this camp at this time. They're not like, why, as much. Like, there's always those instances, and I find them a lot more, especially in Team League, when I oftentimes get paired with lower ranked players, that they still lack that knowledge. But I think the information gap is slowly closing, which is a good sign.
Maybe it Masters.
Maybe in Masters, but
Yeah.
hey, it'll trickle down eventually. Like, it has to start somewhere. Like, previously, not even Masters knew that.
Yeah.
So you want some, if they can know it, and then eventually when they keep feeding and get down into your league and into Diamond and further down, because it'll happen soon, then they're going to be able to tell those people, hey, do this, and it'll slowly get better. And honestly, with these Team League changes coming, if they do decide to put things in one mode, the benefit of this is that higher level players and lower level players will be able to get together more often, hopefully spreading information for the short time that Blizzard will probably be keeping this.
For the short amount of time. You're so right. You're so right, though.
I mean, it's, next week.
Uh-oh. Hello? Armis? Are you there?
We have a power outage.
Yay.
I'm sorry about that.
It's all good.
1 second. There we go. We got a phone camera.
All right.
We got a power outage. Our computer shut off. Everything shut off, other than the light for some reason. But yeah, no power.
That's all right. You're still on stream, so that's good.
Yes, I came back. This is what a phone's for. Hopefully.
Yeah. Go for it.
So hopefully that'll change. We'll end up being good. We'll see.
Yes, we will see. And with that, perfect time to call the show. I'm going to quickly go over the sign. I'm quickly going to sign off here. So thank you. Thank you to Schizo for creating our thumbnails. Usually, I didn't have time to bug him this week. And thank you all for listening to the Nexus Trolls as Heroes of the Storm podcast, which we stream live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/trollsgg, every week on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, plus or minus a couple minutes, of course, for me and whatnot. Armis, what is the best place for people to reach you?
Best place to reach me is my Twitter at GG_Aramis. You can also reach out to me on Discord, AramisGG on Discord. Also, you can find me in the Trolls server. Feel free to PM me with any questions you have. If you're interested in getting coaching, feel free to look onto Gamer Sensei. I will post my personal link in there, in the show notes, because I can't right now, unfortunately, given what just happened. But link to Gamer Sensei will be in the show notes. If you're looking for coaching, let me know. Again, thanks to the Patreons that I've been coaching lately. I know I have to reach out to a few of you to keep it going for this month's coaching lesson. I can't wait to contact you guys. It's been a blast so far, and I'm really hoping to hear how you guys have been doing and improving. So shout outs to Fringe, Super Dave, and one other whose name I just forget right now.
I got you. Hold on 1 second. It's Steel Condor?
Yes, Steel Condor.
Yes.
Shout out to all of them. They've been super awesome with me lately because I've had a lot going on, making sure we can fit those coaching lessons in and get everything situated. So awesome job by you guys. We appreciate the support. I love doing this. And yeah, thank you guys again. I really hope to be working with you and or your teams in the near future.
Awesome. For me, you can find me on Twitter at SokenGLHF, SOKENGLHF. Tweet me your finest memes, please. Thank you. And of course, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Soken, SOKEN gaming. And I stream Heroes of the Storm and Final Fantasy XIV, the MMO. When I just want to chill out, I'll stream the Final Fantasy for fun. And I also have a series going with one of my buddies for the game Full Metal Furies. And we just do some co-op for that. Lately, we haven't done that because my controller actually just died. So I can't do that, but eventually we will get back to that. Again, sorry for all the lag, everyone. I know it's lagging and there's nothing I can do. I'm just sitting here. But yeah.
Sorry about the power outage, everybody, too. This is interesting. I'm trying to get my PC back on. It doesn't like it.
Don't worry about it. If you enjoy the show, you can support us in a variety of ways here on Twitch, supporting us with a subscription of either Tier 1 sub or through Twitch Prime. You can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you find your podcasts. And of course, Patreon at patreon.com/trollsgg. Speaking of Patreon, huge thanks and shout out to our chieftains, Preston and Eric F. Thank you guys so much, as well as our war chiefs, Super Dave, Steel Condor, Fringe Average, and the infamous and mysterious Soken's mom. I don't know. Someone basically just paid to troll me, but that's totally cool. I'm okay with it. So thank you for the support. And of course, you're welcome to free coaching should you identify yourself. But thank you for the support, Mom.
Soken's mom,
my
please
mom.
reach out to me for coaching. I just want to know who you are. I won't tell Soken. I'll just laugh at it.
Yes. And then,
We
of course,
appreciate the support.
you can visit our website at trolls.gg/the Nexus Trolls to watch this and past shows along with our video streams, which can be found on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/trollsgg. For announcements about the show and general Heroes news, follow us on Twitter at the Nexus Trolls. If you want to hang out with us in the in-game, you can join TrollsGG in-game or join our Discord, trolls.gg/Discord online. We'll lead you there. And then finally, the best way to get in touch with us is our email thenexustrolls@trolls.gg. So with that is it for us today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Everyone in chat, lurking. Sorry about the lag. Sorry about the power outage. All that. Can't do anything about that.
We made it, though. I
We
feel
made
like
it.
it was a pretty good podcast. Thanks for Soken for hosting it with me. I hope everything's going well with Goon and No Tomorrow. We wish you guys the best. And yeah, we will see you next week, and hopefully we'll have another good show.
Yes, we will. See you guys.